So today I'm just going to talk to you about a really easy occupational therapy treatment idea that you can do in just a few minutes. And it is how to make a sourdough starter. So right here I have two sourdough starters that I've just kind of started on my own. And it's a pretty easy process. All you're doing is you're feeding the starter flour and water equal parts each day. And I think this would be a great idea to kind of just get your patients, getting them up, getting them to like a refrigerator to gather items. They can scoop flour into these containers, they can scoop water, and they have to measure. So there's a little bit of problem solving in here. There's some ambulation, fine motor skill, and I think this is just gonna be a great idea. Just the whole process of baking bread. So they don't have to bake bread because that can be very time consuming and take a long time. This is just gonna be way easier by just getting a few things out of the fridge, measuring, scooping. You can even use a scale to make it a little bit harder for like problem solving. You could have them follow a recipe. You could even have them make a starter from scratch, and then you could see them progress as you do it each day. And this is a nice activity that you can kind of do daily rather than like baking or spending a ton of time like creating a meal. This activity, you can just do it very quickly, and you can you can get it ready quickly, and you can spend as much time as you want. You can spend all day baking bread, or you can just spend 15 minutes or a half hour just kind of getting everything ready based on your patient's cognitive level or their functional mobility or whatever you want to do. I mean, you could make this a 10-minute activity by just having them walk to the fridge, getting the items out of the fridge, scooping the flour and the water into a jar, and then tightening the jar and then putting it back in the fridge. I mean, that's a pretty good like 10-minute, 15-minute activity. And then if you want them to make a starter from scratch, you could do that. And that's gonna make this about like a 20-minute to 25-minute activity. If you want them to bake bread, you could have them make the starter and then mix and knead the bread. And then they're gonna have to probably wait 12 hours or something like that, or you could just use a regular bread mix. But that's a good hour activity that you could have them do. And then the next day you could have them bake the bread. So here's my starter mix right now. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out, unscrew these. So this is super simple. All you're gonna do is you're gonna feed the flour equal parts of flour and water, just like this. Okay, so I went ahead and added the flour and water, and now we just kind of wait a few hours for it to kind of bubble up and get a little bit larger. And that's how you know that your starter's working. And that's what it looks when it starts bubbling up. Now, why would you want to create a starter to begin with? Now, the whole purpose behind this is you're just making like yeast. It's the same thing as like quick acting yeast, but it's a much slower process. Quick acting yeast is commercially made. This is a natural yeast, and so it's better for your gut biome, and it's just a healthier way to eat, according to some people. A lot of people will use it in sourdough breads, but I've actually used it to make breads. I've made cinnamon rolls with it, and you can actually use it to make pancakes or waffles. So that's another easy treatment idea that you could use, is just use the starter to make pancakes or waffles. That's only gonna take you like 10 or 20 minutes, and you got a quick treatment under your belt. And it's actually super engaging for the people that you're gonna be working with. And let's say you've never made a starter before. How do you start a starter? So it actually can be a little bit complicated. Some people will just do flour and water and they have good results with that. Or you can just add flour and water and you get a little bit of mold from something like a plum, or if you've ever seen like the white stuff on a plum or white stuff on grapes or something like that, that's actually mold, and that can actually activate your starter so you can get things going. You just leave it on the counter and then you just kind of feed it daily, a 1/4 cup of water, a 1/4 cup of flour. That's how you start a starter. It's nice to have just one simple activity that you could do daily with any patient. And I think it's hard to do that when you're doing like cooking, because usually you have to spend a lot of money. You may have to have an oven or all these utensils and things that aren't always available in a small rehab setting. And this, all you pretty much need is flour and water to at least make a starter. And if you have an oven, you can actually bake the bread, or you could just bring in like a small toaster oven to your rehab facility and you could bake bread that way. Another idea that you could do is you can actually use a starter to make pancakes. So you could just bring a frying pan in, use the starter and make pancakes with it. They're actually really good and super nutritious. Lots of options with not a whole lot of work. If you're making a meal, it's like you have to have all these ingredients. You have to be cutting things, you're chopping things up, you're adding like salt here and there and seasonings. And this is simple. All it is flour and water. It's the simplest activity that I can think of that you can do in like a cooking setting for acute rehab. Or, I mean, you could do this in a skilled nursing facility or any other setting. You could do this at home. If you have a patient with dementia and they're just bored out of their mind, this would be a great activity for them. If you have anyone with ambulation issues, I mean, you can just work on standing for part of the activity. You can do part of the activity sitting and just kind of do it all to their activity level and tolerance level. So I hope you found this as an interesting activity that you can do in your setting, and hopefully you can use it. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to share about this, or go ahead and try it and like share your comments if there's anything that didn't work, I'd be happy to hear about it. Thanks for watching and liking, and I will see you in the next one. Hope you have a great day.